In the quiet summer town of Traverse City, Michigan, no one expected that a routine Saturday afternoon shopping trip would turn into a nightmare. On July 26, 2025, chaos erupted inside a Walmart store when a man suddenly launched a violent attack that left 11 people injured and the entire country in shock. This case quickly became one of the most talked about crime stories of the year. But what really happened inside that Walmart? Who was behind the attack, and what was the motive? Today, we'll break down the entire timeline of the 2025 Traverse City Walmart stabbing, explore the investigation, the suspect's background, and the unanswered questions that continue to haunt this case. Stay with us, because by the end, you'll understand why this incident is considered a turning point in America's ongoing battle against violent extremism. Traverse City is known as a peaceful tourist town in northern Michigan, famous for its cherry festivals and scenic lakes. Garfield Township, where this Walmart is located, is usually a quiet suburban area where families shop, retirees stroll the aisles, and college students pick up groceries. But like any place in America, even the safest communities are not immune to sudden violence. That day, the Walmart was crowded with weekend shoppers. Parents were buying school supplies, kids were playing in the toy section, and employees were busy stocking shelves. Nobody could have predicted what was about to unfold. Authorities later identified the suspect as Bradford James Gille, a local man in his early 30s. Not much was known about him before the incident. He was not a public figure, nor someone on law enforcement's radar for major crimes. Neighbors described him as quiet, but withdrawn. Some reports suggested he had financial and personal struggles. Others claimed he had expressed anger about government policies in the past. Investigators would later try to piece together his motives, but at the time of the attack, no one could have predicted his sudden burst of violence. It was around 3:45 p.m. on July 26, 2025, when Bradford entered the Walmart carrying a large bag. Surveillance footage later showed him walking calmly through the automatic sliding doors, blending in with other customers. But within minutes, chaos erupted. Bradford suddenly pulled out a knife and began attacking people at random. Shoppers screamed, children ran, and employees rushed to call 911. Panic spread like wildfire as people scrambled to escape through emergency exits. One eyewitness recalled, "At first I thought it was some kind of fight, but then I saw people bleeding and everyone running. It felt like a movie scene, unreal, terrifying." The entire attack lasted less than 10 minutes, but in that short span, 11 people were injured. Fortunately, no one was killed, but several victims suffered serious wounds. Within minutes, multiple 911 calls flooded dispatch. Local police, state troopers, and emergency medical teams rushed to the scene. Officers entered the building while terrified shoppers were still trying to escape. Inside, they confronted Bradford, who was subdued and taken into custody without further resistance. Paramedics worked quickly to stabilize the injured. Walmart employees guided victims to safe zones, and many shoppers later praised staff for their bravery under pressure. The injured were transported to Munson Medical Center, the nearest trauma hospital. Doctors later confirmed that although the wounds were severe, every victim was expected to survive. Bradford James Gille was immediately charged with multiple counts including 11 counts of attempted murder, acts of terrorism, use of a deadly weapon during a violent felony. Prosecutors emphasized the terrorism charge, signaling that they believed the attack might have been politically or ideologically motivated. This immediately sparked nationwide debate. Was this an act of terrorism, or the act of a disturbed individual? Investigators searched Bradford's home, phone records, and online activity. They discovered that he had browsed extremist forums and occasionally expressed frustration with government institutions. However, no clear manifesto or direct ties to an organization were found. This raised questions. Was Bradford acting alone, driven by personal demons, or was he influenced by online extremist communities? Officials also interviewed family members and acquaintances. Some suggested he had been isolated, struggling with mental health issues. Others claimed he had grown increasingly paranoid in recent months. Still, the absence of a clear motive made this case both puzzling and frightening. Behind the statistics were real people whose lives were forever changed. Among the victims were a 62-year-old grandmother shopping for groceries, a young couple buying supplies for their first apartment, two Walmart employees who tried to shield customers during the chaos. One survivor described the fear. "I just froze. I saw him coming down the aisle, and for a second, I didn't know if I was going to make it out alive. The only thing I could think of was my kids." Their stories became central to the media coverage, reminding the public that this wasn't just another headline, it was a human tragedy. The attack sent shockwaves across the nation. News outlets broadcast live updates, social media lit up with eyewitness videos, and politicians quickly weighed in. Some framed it as another example of the growing threat of domestic extremism. Others highlighted the need for stronger mental health support and prevention systems. For many, the most haunting question was, if something like this could happen in a Walmart, one of the most ordinary and everyday places in America, then where are we truly safe? This incident did not happen in isolation. It came at a time when America was already on edge about mass shootings, extremist plots, and random acts of violence. The Traverse City stabbing added to the sense of vulnerability. Unlike many past cases, this one stood out because the suspect used a knife rather than firearms, proving that violence doesn't always require guns to cause mass harm. It reignited debates about public safety, law enforcement readiness, and how communities can protect themselves. Even months later, many questions remain. What was Bradford's true motive? Or was he radicalized online? Or was this simply an act of personal rage? Could law enforcement have spotted warning signs earlier? And perhaps most chilling, could this happen again somewhere else without warning? The 2025 Traverse City Walmart stabbing is a case that reminds us how fragile everyday life can be. In less than 10 minutes, a quiet Saturday afternoon turned into chaos and fear. While the victims continue to heal, and the suspect awaits trial, the community of Traverse City struggles to regain a sense of safety. For the rest of America, the incident serves as both a warning and a wake-up call. Violence can strike anywhere, at any time. And until we understand the root causes, whether extremism, mental illness, or societal failures, the question remains: how do we prevent the next attack?